Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now Bitcoin just confirmed yet another rejection from this exact area of resistance. But while this is happening in the short term, at least as I'm recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is still forming higher lows, which is a good sign to see, while we're continuing to see a lot of liquidity building above the price of Bitcoin in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside Ethereum, which is continuing to play out the overbought signal as expected, cooling off a little bit in the short term, resetting towards more neutral levels, while the price of Chainlink is now retesting a crucial level on the price chart. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger bearish move on the larger time frames. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still technically have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for, which has not yet been invalidated. So it's still influencing the price of Bitcoin on the much larger time frames. But remember, this is not a short-term signal. This is not a signal telling us what to expect today or tomorrow, rather what we should be expecting over the next maybe multiple weeks or multiple months. That sort of time frame, the slightly larger time frames here. And of course, over the last 1 to 2 months, it has been perfectly playing out as expected in the form of this larger pullback here, lacking bullish momentum. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart in the somewhat short to midterm, in the coming days or maybe the next week or so, we have this oversold signal still technically active, still playing out on the 3-day Bitcoin RSI. And obviously, the last time we saw this signal confirm on the 3-day Bitcoin RSI was over 3 years ago in mid-2022. And what came next based on these previous examples were either a sideways consolidation or a bit more of a bullish relief in the price over the next multiple weeks. And so far, since the local low around 2 weeks ago, give or take, so far this has been playing out very nicely here, mostly in the form of a slight bullish relief in the shorter term. But remember, if we're looking at the bigger picture, we're still seeing a lot of weakness as a result of this massive bearish divergence on the much larger timeframes, the larger moves in the market. But just the short-term situation is we're still in this bullish relief, at least right now, still playing out this oversold signal on the 3-day time frame. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, once again, we can see that shorter term bullish relief kind of like this. But so far, we have been stopped by this major area of resistance, which is still sitting in between around 92,000 to 94,000. And obviously, just over the last couple of days, we've now officially confirmed yet another perfect rejection from this exact area of resistance. The moment we entered into this resistance, the price started to struggle in this area as expected, like what we saw roughly a week ago. So we've now actually seen 2 perfect rejections, at least so far in the short term, from this area of resistance. And so obviously continue to expect a lot of struggle and possible rejections from around this area. But if the price of Bitcoin at some stage breaks out back above that area on the price chart, breaking out with at least a daily candle close above 94,000 and actually holding above that area, in that situation would likely see a continued bullish move towards this next resistance sitting at close to 100,000. But in the meantime, once again, still have a lot of resistance at 92 to 94,000. And as for support, I would expect a lot of support at give or take 85,000 if the price were to actually get back down there. So for now, we're kind of in a bit of a sideways price range, but with a very slight bullish bias, slightly leaning towards the bullish direction, as we can see right here, as a result of this short to midterm oversold signal playing out on the 3-day time frame. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, we could see more clearly the rejection that's confirmed over the last 1 to 2 days from this exact area of resistance that I've already been warning about since before both of these rejections here. And once again, that's in between 92 to 94,000. So continue to expect a lot of struggle in that area. But the good news is, at least so far as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is still forming higher lows and also still forming slight higher highs in the price. And so once again, this is the shorter term bullish relief that's playing out thanks to this larger oversold signal on the 3-day time frame. This is helping the price reset a little bit back towards the upside. It's just we have this major obstacle in the way that's at 92 to 94,000, acting as strong resistance. But like I've explained over the last few days, the longer we actually hang around this resistance, the more we test this resistance, the weaker that resistance will get. And so we can already see that the second retest compared to this first retest right right here, we actually entered further into the area of resistance, not confirming a breakout, but obviously the last time, as soon as we reached 92,000, we started to struggle immediately right there. But this time around, we made it all the way up towards around 94,000, the top side of the area of resistance, before struggling and seeing a rejection. And so obviously, if this shorter term trend continues, and ideally if the price of Bitcoin bounces before actually breaking below this previous low, in other words, if we form another higher low on the price chart, then it's very likely that we'll soon, in the next few days or so, see another retest of this area of resistance. And once again, the more we test that resistance, the weaker it will get. So eventually, ultimately, this is increasing the probability, as always, no guarantees, but this is increasing the probability that we could eventually break out. But obviously, when it comes to a possible breakout trading strategy, as always, we need to wait for confirmation. We need to wait for a confirmed breakout above around 94,000, and ideally holding above that level before potentially entering, let's just say, a breakout long position, not financial advice, but in that trading strategy, let's just say if we open a long position around here, just above the breakout point, and traded towards the next price target or next point of resistance, and then took a bit of profits around that level or just before that level. Obviously, that's a simple and basic example of a trading strategy that can potentially be very profitable. But once again, we've not yet confirmed the breakout. And remember, that's just an example, not financial advice. And like I said earlier, if we confirm the breakout above 94,000, this next resistance is really sitting in between around 99 to 100,000. So definitely pay attention to that level if we first break out above 94,000. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, first of all, the liquidity that's been building below the price of Bitcoin at these lows down here at give or take 83,500 has actually been slightly decreasing, which is something to pay attention to. Meanwhile, we're continuing to see a lot more liquidity build above the price of Bitcoin at roughly 94,500, really in between 94.3K to 94.6K, so right around here. But obviously, before we could hit that liquidity at roughly 94,500, we have this major resistance in between 92 to 94,000, causing the price to struggle in that area. So once we actually break out above that area, then of course we can liquidate a bunch of short positions, and that can help push the price a little higher towards this next resistance. But that only really starts if we first confirm the breakout. So that's what we're simply waiting to see. But in the meantime, this is definitely the time to get set up ready to go on a crypto exchange to take advantage of that next potential trading opportunity. And of course, if you use the first link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, that first link will take you to this page right here over on the Pinex crypto exchange, where you can take advantage of some major bonuses. For example, if you make an account using that link, simply complete KYC, you get a 50 USDT bonus on your account. On top of that, there's also deposit bonuses. If you deposit as little as $100, you get a 100 USDT bonus on your account. If you deposit 10,000, you can get a 1,000 USDT bonus on your account. And then you can use that bonus, use the exchange's money in order to actually open a Bitcoin trade if you want to. And so once again, if you want to take advantage of this, it's the first link below this video. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check it out. But if you want a no KYC crypto exchange to have long positions, short positions, etc., an exchange that I also use, in that situation, check out the second link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. If you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here over on 2bit, where you could also claim some exclusive deposit bonuses that are only available using that link. And on top of that, for the next 4 days or so, there's also this event that's running right now where there's trade protection and recovery funds. So if you're losing on your trades, you could potentially get some of that liquidation or that lost money back. And so as you can see right here, new users making your account during this event using the link below the video will receive 100% loss protection on your first futures trade up to 200 USDT in trial funds. And on top of that, if you get liquidated over 50 USDT during this event that's running right now, you may be eligible for recovery compensation up to 1,000 USDT depending on your liquidation. So once again, if you want to take advantage of this and also extra deposit bonuses, check it out. Second link below this video. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance, and right now I'm basically going to say the same thing that I've been saying over the last 1 week or so, and that's the simple fact that right now the Bitcoin dominance is extremely neutral. We're kind of lacking momentum to either direction, at least here in the short term. We're not looking overly bullish or overly bearish, which basically means a lot of the major altcoins on average will likely be performing very similar to whatever Bitcoin is doing, not necessarily much better or much worse. So there's not much else to add here for the Bitcoin dominance. So without wasting your time, getting straight into Ethereum on the daily time frame. And right now the price of ETH, as I'm recording this video, is now actually retesting a crucial level on the price chart, sitting in between roughly 3,000 to 3.1k. And at least so far, as I'm recording this video, we've not yet confirmed a daily candle close back below 3,000, which means we can still find support in this area. It is still an area to watch out for the price of Ethereum. But if the price actually confirms, let's just say, a daily candle close below 3,000, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, of course that would be a short-term bearish signal, and that would effectively invalidate that previous breakout and invalidate that short-term price target for this W pattern, which was sitting at roughly 3.4k. And so of course this is why we cannot ignore other points of resistance on the price chart where the price could potentially struggle at or reject from. For example, a level that I've been warning about for a while is in between around 3250 to 3.3k, and pretty much as soon as we hit 3250, 3250, within about $1 from that level, we perfectly rejected from that level. So that is still acting as resistance on the price chart. And remember, as I've explained over the last few days, I'll not necessarily take out this breakout trading opportunity right here for Ethereum due to the fact that Bitcoin has not yet broken out. And so, like I said over the last few days, I'd like to see a confirmed breakout for Bitcoin to be more confident in any potential breakout for some of these altcoins like Ethereum and other altcoins, etc. Because if altcoins are starting to break out a little bit while the Bitcoin dominance is looking relatively neutral and Bitcoin is still struggling at resistance, then it's likely that a lot of these breakouts for altcoins might not necessarily last very long if Bitcoin still struggles at resistance. We need to see the breakout for Bitcoin before potentially becoming more confident in some of these altcoin breakouts, which is why I did not take this trade for Ethereum, but I would potentially take a Bitcoin trade if we first confirm the breakout above 94,000. Or of course, another trading strategy is to simply short when we have potential bearish signals. For example, if we run into a point of resistance like 3250 in the case of Ethereum, or run into resistance in between 92 to 94,000 in the case of Bitcoin, that's a potential short position opportunity to short at resistance, basically anticipating a potential rejection from that resistance, like what we've just seen over the last 1 day or so. And on top of that, we can also look at other signals like an overbought signal in the case of Ethereum here in the short term on the 4-hour Ethereum RSI. And of course, an overbought signal is pretty much the exact opposite to an oversold signal. And an oversold signal means we went too far to the downside too quickly in the short term, and we need some time to reset the RSI back towards the upside, which means we're most likely going to see a bit of a bounce in the price. And of course, that's exactly what we saw over the last few days. For almost a week or so, we have been seeing this decent bounce from this oversold signal all the way up until we hit overbought, which is what I've been warning about over the last couple of days now, telling us we're most likely going to see a bit of a cool off, resetting out of overbought back towards the downside, which means we're most likely going to see a lack in bullish momentum, just cooling off a little bit, maybe a slight pullback. And since I said that right here, that's exactly what has played out as predicted. And it's possible this could continue a little longer, maybe just in the next few hours, maybe for another day. Of course, these signals don't play out over many weeks or months. It's only looking at shorter term moves in the price. But the good news is that the RSI has already reset back towards neutral. In fact, right now, as of recording this video, the 4-hour Ethereum RSI is actually slightly closer towards oversold again than it is towards overbought. It's in the lower half of the RSI indicator, which means we've already reset a decent amount so far. Now, it's possible we could head a little bit lower in the short term, especially if Bitcoin continues struggling a little bit moving forward. That's possible for Ethereum. But of course, if this continues much longer, let's just say if we see another, say, 2 days of this, it's possible we could actually hit oversold again in the next couple of days if this ultimately continues. And it's possible that could actually be at a higher low, kind of like what we saw last time. We hit oversold, but we're actually at a higher point in the price compared to that previous oversold signal, ultimately causing another bounce and a new higher high. RSI continuing a bit of a shorter term bullish trend. And so that is the current short term trend and the imminent moves that are happening right now and what is affecting the price of Ethereum moving forward. So ultimately, continue to expect a little bit of weakness just in the next 24 hours or so. But for now, if we're talking about, let's just say the next week, overall, we're looking slightly more bullish than we are bearish. We're still in this short-term bullish relief or short-term bullish trend. It's just obviously important to understand the price does not move in a straight line. It's very normal to see these little resets and setbacks along the way. So that's right now happening in the imminent short term. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, Solana is still simply in a shorter term sideways price range, simply consolidating sideways, chopping around sideways between support and resistance. So obviously continue to expect a lot of support really in between 124 to 128 approximately, and a lot of resistance in between around 143 to 147. And obviously the much larger structure or the much larger trend on the Solana price chart here on the 2-day chart or the daily chart, for example, is still obviously a bearish trend. We're still forming lower highs, lower lows, and we've not yet really confirmed any significant breakouts or any significant bullish reversal signals on these larger timeframes for Solana. But just in the short term, the current situation is that we're actually looking relatively neutral, simply chopping around in a sideways price range between support and resistance. So honestly, not a lot has changed over the last 1 day for Solana. So without wasting your time, getting straight into the price of XRP on the weekly time frame. And right now the price of XRP is still playing out this much larger bearish divergence. We've not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to actually end this bearish divergence, which means this is still active. It's still influencing the price on the much larger time frames. But remember, this is not a short-term signal. This is not telling us what to expect today or tomorrow, but rather what we should be expecting over the next potential multiple months. And of course, that's exactly what I said back here on the channel. I warned about this back in around early August. You can even watch my videos back then. They're all still public, warning about this multi-month pullback coming soon when pretty much no one else out there was actually predicting that. But if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, of course, over the last couple of weeks, we have been playing out this smaller bullish divergence just in the somewhat shorter term here, mostly in the form of choppy sideways price action. But as I always say, when it comes to altcoins, pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is very likely for a lot of these altcoins. So if Bitcoin is struggling at resistance, playing out these short-term rejections, it's very likely we're going to see something very similar to this for a lot of the major altcoins like XRP. And that's exactly what we've seen over the last 1 to 2 days, just a slight pullback following Bitcoin and a lot of the crypto market. But if this pullback continues a little lower in the price of XRP, below roughly $1.90 to $1.95, and if we confirm a daily candle close below that level, then at least temporarily that would invalidate this bullish divergence, but it would possibly form a new bullish divergence or effectively extend this bullish divergence with a lower low in the price, while the RSI could still potentially be forming higher lows. And so obviously that's also something to think about in the coming days if we continue a little bit more of a pullback here. But overall, we're basically just playing out some choppy sideways price action, having a little bit of a break from this larger bearish trend. But remember, so far we are still within the larger bearish trend, forming lower highs and lower lows. That's still the situation, as I've been saying for months now on the channel, basically playing out the much larger bearish divergence that's helping to cause this larger bearish trend, and then shorter term bullish divergences help to cause these short-term bullish reliefs or sideways consolidations, little breaks here and there from the trend, but not necessarily confirming the end of the larger trend. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, still expect support at roughly around $2, really in between $2 to $2.05, which as of recording this video, we're testing right now. So if we break below $2 in that situation, I would expect some support at roughly around $1.90 to $1.95 based on this previous low here, the candle closes. And if we break below that level, expect more support at around $1.81 to $1.82. And as for resistance, in case we see any sort of bounce here, of course, if we break below $2, would likely flip that into resistance in between $2 to $2.05, and also expect a lot of resistance at roughly $2.20. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, right now the price of Chainlink is also continuing a rejection from pretty much exactly $15 and is now retesting this previous Fibonacci level, which was initially support and then it was resistance and could potentially be acting as support right now, and that's sitting at roughly around 1340 to 1350. And as of recording this video, we're pretty much testing that level right now. And so obviously expect support around this level, but if that actually breaks, if we fail to hold 1340 to 1350, in that situation, of course, that would basically invalidate this breakout. But of course, we already pretty much completed the breakout anyway. We already hit pretty much the $15 price target within just a few cents of $15. And so like I already said over the last couple of days, that breakout and that price target's basically already completed. Even though we didn't exactly hit $15, we got within just a few cents of $15. So we pretty much already hit that price target. And of course, once again, if we break below around 1340, that will officially invalidate the breakout anyway. So of course, that would invalidate the price target anyway, even if we didn't hit it. But for now, obviously, we've not yet confirmed the break below 1340. So still expect support around that level. It's just if we break below that level, in that situation, expect the next major support at give or take $12, really in between $12 to $12.10. But with that being said, we technically still have an active bullish divergence on the daily Chainlink price chart, and typically a bullish divergence on the daily time frame plays out over at least a week, sometimes even a couple of weeks. But so far, it's only been about half a week of this playing out, mostly in the form of a bullish relief, and potentially could be about to cause some choppy sideways price action here. But just be aware that we are potentially starting to reverse this much larger downtrend in the RSI. Not yet necessarily confirming a reversal in the price yet, but the RSI tends to sometimes be a leading indicator. So with this potentially reversing, for as long as we form a higher low in the price above ideally $12, for as long as we bounce somewhere above $12, it's possible we could start to see a bit of a reversal in the coming weeks in the price if the RSI obviously holds up relatively well here and continues forming a bit more of a bullish trend. So far, this is a sign of strength for the RSI and the price. But remember, in order for all of this to carry on in the bullish direction for any of these altcoins here, ideally, it's going back to Bitcoin. Ideally, we need to see the breakout for Bitcoin above around 94,000. This is really the market leader. If Bitcoin fails to break out here and we continue struggling, then don't really expect a lot of strength in the altcoin market. But once again, if we break out for Bitcoin above 94,000, then we can ultimately continue these shorter term bullish signals like this bullish divergence, etc. for a lot of these altcoins. And remember, if you want to get set up ready to go to take any of these trading opportunities in the price of any crypto, get set up ready to go using those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim the massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing here, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.